Tell me how this got started.
I will be happy to. It has been an evolution. It has been an absolute evolution, and it started, as you know, I've been aware of brag tags for some time. I've used them in the library as accelerated reader rewards for several years. And I only used them for that for a while. And then I was in a media specialist meeting one day when I heard another media specialist, a fellow media specialist, talk about how she was using book cover brag tags to get students to read some of what were her favorite books. And she had a few of them, and I said, oh my gosh, I love those. They're so well done. They're just beautiful. And she said, yeah, the kids really like them. And so I thought, well, you know what? That would be a great incentive and reward for my 4th and 5th grade reading enrichment clubs. I have a little book club for 4th graders and 5th graders that include the top readers in their grade levels. And I have some award-winning young adult literature that they get to choose from to read books. And on top of all of their other school books, they're reading a novel a month, plus making a passing grade on the AR test, plus answering some higher order thinking skills questions about the books. And they also do a project on the book. So they're doing a ton of work, which they don't really seem to think of as work. They really love it. But they're doing that. And so I said, I'm going to get those kids brag tags to go with these books. And so I had the custom brag tags created to match the book covers from School Life. And of course, they do an excellent job. Brought them in, introduced them to the kids, and they just went crazy over them. They thought that was going to be fabulous. So they earn about one a month. Some of my kids read more than that, maybe 2 or 3 books a month, but they've been collecting these brag tags throughout the year there. Well, then I had other students ask me, Ms. Curry, what are those brag tags I see kids with, and how can I earn those? And so I started thinking about it, and I said, I need to think about this and figure out how I can get this a little more widespread. And one thing I did was I met with the 5th grade teachers, and they, 4th and 5th grade, had just adopted a new reading program that came with a lot of, it's called trade books, but popular books. And the teacher said the students weren't reacting to them real well, and so I said, well, how about if I order you brag tags for all those books? And we implemented that in 4th and 5th grade, just for all 4th and 5th graders. So I felt like I was being a little more inclusive there, including all 4th and 5th grade. Well, then I started getting feedback from the younger kids saying, my own granddaughter included, well, why can't I earn a brag tag? You know, she's in 1st grade. So I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. You're an excellent reader. You should be able to earn a brag tag. So then I had to think about that. And so it was just kind of evolving, and I am a detail-oriented person, so I had to figure out, okay, how can I make this fair and equitable for all the students in our school without turning it into my full-time job and a record-keeping mess and a super expensive venture. So I had to think about it. And my first time out of the gate with it school-wide, my clerk and I literally walked up and down every aisle in our stacks of the library books and searched for series, because I thought I would target series instead of individual books. Otherwise, I might be passing out brag tags to the same child every day if they're reading a short little picture book. So I was like, no, I don't think that's going to really be, I don't think I could sustain that. So we walked up and down the aisles from kindergarten books, picture books, all the way through all the picture books, all of the chapter books, and then all of the nonfiction books, and even our graphic novel section. And I chose series for every grade level on all different genres, all different interests. And we sat down, I had about 30 series, and then we looked at, well, how many of the books in the series should we require the children to read to get the brag tag? And like I said, a picture book is much different than a 300-page fiction, young adult literature. So we figured that all out, and then I'm asking myself, okay, and what else? We were going to require them to read a certain amount of books to get the brag tag. How do I have proof that they did this? How do I know they really did read the books and read them carefully? Well, so I said that you have to take the AR quiz on the book when you're finished, And I'm requiring the students to make an 80, a 90, or a 100 on the quiz for it to count toward their brag tag qualifications. Because I tell them all the time, we don't brag about mediocre and poor grades. We brag about 80s, 90s, and 100s, and these are brag tags. And I'm not going to hand them out without you making forth the effort and really reading the books and taking your time on the quizzes and learning those good reading skills and test taking skills that I know is in there. So we started out with that, and I made a list of all of the brag tags that would be available, and I created some Google slide presentations for each of the different grade levels. And I see the kids every week, all classrooms every week. So as they were coming in for their regular library time, at the end of their regular library time, about the last 5 minutes or so, I presented the Google slideshows about how to earn brag tags and about the whole program. And I explained to them the rules that they would have to follow and the qualifications to earn the brag tags. And I also provided them with a record keeping sheet. So for instance, I made it up with a picture of the brag tag and then actually blocks for how many books they have to read. So if they had to read 10 Elephant and Piggy books, there would be 10 little blocks in a grid. And as they read their Elephant and Piggy books and made their qualifying score on an AR quiz, they color in one block. And then when they read another one, they color in another block. And it's a great visual for them to really measure their progress as they go along. It also keeps them straight on how many they've actually read and just gives them that visual that I think they need and that confirmation, hey, I'm getting closer to my goal. So they do that. Now the older students, I give them the same type of grid, but I ask them to go ahead and write their scores in. And some of the teachers even go behind and initial the score for me, which is great because it saves me a little time in the end. So they keep track of it that way. Then when they come in, they show us what they have done on their grids. But we check it. Either my clerk or I, pull up their accelerated reader record, which takes a second, look down, make sure, yes indeed, you sure did take 10 tests and pass them. Or, I can see you've taken 10 tests, but you beat a 60 on one and a 50 on another. You're going to have to go back and read 2 more. So, and that's been the most wonderful thing. Because it's it's not me saying, oh, this doesn't qualify. They can see themselves like, ooh, I gotta read another one because that one I got too much in a hurry or something. So that's been really nice. But we check and verify before we give the brag tag, and then we initial the grid to say, okay, you've already gotten the Elephant and Piggy book. Because some kids will say, well, if I read 10 more, can I get a second Elephant and Piggy brag tag? And to that I say no. Because I want them to move on to something else. I don't want them to get too ingrained in their little comfort zone of Elephant and Piggy. I want them to, if you loved Elephant and Piggy, maybe you should try Little Critter books, or maybe you should try Clifford, or hey, how about Dr. Seuss next? So I'm getting them to maybe approach their reading goals with an open mind. Like I don't have to, there are other books out there besides Dog Man, because sometimes I don't know that they think there are. So that was kind of my thought process there. But I brought, as each class came in, I showed the Google slide presentation, and then I showed them that basic record keeping. Then I made a Google slide for each of the series that I chose for specific grade levels. And on the slides, I included a small book talk about a book from that series, and then, of course, how many were required for that series. So they could look back at that Google slideshow, which I shared with the teachers who then posted it on their Google Classroom. They can go back and look at the Google slide presentation, and they might say, oh, Boxcar Children, what's that all about? And they can click on the little book trailer and watch just a quick little 30-second book trailer on the Boxcar Children. So maybe that might get them to encourage them, say, oh, I want to find out more about that, and maybe check that out. So they have that to go back and look at, whenever they want and whenever they're looking for new books. So that's how we started. And then I got some feedback from a teacher who teaches 4th grade reading, but through different circumstances, most of her children are on 1st or 2nd grade reading level. And she told me that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and here I just presented all these chapter books and everything to this group, not even really thinking, it was a fourth grade lesson, so I was doing a fourth grade lesson. And so I thought, I have to fix that right now. So that was a challenge. So I went back to the stacks and found some books that were picture books, first and kindergarten even level, first and second grade level, that these students could tackle with confidence, but didn't actually look like a little kid book, because that's what they don't want to be seen carrying as a children's book, because they're bigger than me. They just don't want to do that. So I found a couple really good nonfiction series. Blast Off Readers is a great series for younger, really young children, and it goes all the way up to like fourth grade, fifth grade even. So those are all nonfiction. They are illustrated with photographs, and when someone has a Blast Off Reader book, you don't know if that's a kindergarten level or a fifth grade level, because they all look exactly the same on the covers. So I immediately said, okay, Blast Off Readers, and they love those. They'll come check them out 2 at a time, and they're getting those, and then they get the Blast Off Reader brag tag. There's another Spot series of books that are nonfiction for the very young children. And so this is just like I said, it's been a growing process for me and for our library program. I think I'm going along, and then I stop and have to face something. I have to face, like, am I really meeting the needs of every reader in this school? And that's where my heart is. That's when I know I have to stop. But the more books I add and the more brag tags I add, the more brag tags I have to buy. So then I'm thinking to myself, okay, how are we going to pay for these? So luckily, I'm so fortunate here at this school, because I have a pretty good income of cash available to me, because I run a school store in the morning. I actually have some fifth grade students that run this school store. And so I have that kind of cash available. I turn it into the office manager, of course, but it's money that I could take out and use to buy brag tags. So I have the school store funds. I also do different fundraisers. This year I did a readathon, which we made about $6,000 on our readathon. And so I have that $6,000 to dip into for brag tags. And then also we have school-based budget. This is how our county budgets. It's a school-based budget system in our county. And I've always budgeted for rewards and incentives, about $300 a year. And that's flexible. I can spend that on book fair, game prizes. I can do what I want with that. But I can also use that $300 for brag tags. And one thing I love about school life is that as you buy brag tags, the more you buy, you earn something called brag bucks. And brag bucks are just cash money off the top of your order when you redeem them. So that has been very, very helpful. And the more you order, you also move up a level as a customer to, like silver level. Now you're at the gold level. Oh, you're about to become the platinum level. So you earn brag tags faster and earn some discounts that way. So when I put all that together, it really hasn't been a strain on me at all financially. We've been able to keep it up, and I will, even with the school store, I'll say, don't forget to support the school store so we can buy more brag tags. And, the whole brag tag project, the whole brag tag incentive program has absolutely changed our school. It's changed our library, the climate of our library. The kids come in, they're focused. They come in the library door with a purpose, because they come in either to get the newest brag tag that they just earned, they can't wait to come and get it, or they're coming to get their third or fourth book in the series so they can get back down there and read them and keep filling in those squares. And it's made them more conscious of better test-taking skills, because they don't want to have to go back and read a whole other book because they didn't do so well on the last one. And it's made them set intrinsic goals and follow those things through. It has just been wonderful. Our circulation has doubled, but more than that, I just see the kids holding themselves accountable and setting attainable goals. And their little faces when they get their brag tags, especially if it's their first one, I mean, they're just beaming. And I think, what else could I give these kids that costs less than a quarter and get this kind of reaction? And I mean, they truly brag about them, and they see another student with the same brag tag, and it's a conversation starter. It's a little mini book club. I see kids wanting to all read the same book so they can talk about those books with one another. And which one was your favorite? What did you like about it? And so I just see so many dimensions in this program that it's been just the best thing I think I've ever done.